Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's training events. Today we'll be covering smart meetings. Happy Thursday, and hope to make the next 60 to 90 minutes worth your time. So today's topic will be covering all things meetings in Office 365. We're going to start actually with Outlook, but then spend most of our time in Microsoft Teams today. So the topic area really covers, just meetings in Teams. Just to let you know, this isn't a Teams 100 level class or anything else. This is really the focus on making the most out of your time in meetings. My name's Adam Schau. I'm on the Microsoft account team in our customer success practice. We've been hosting daily sessions for the last couple months. And excited to host this one with you today. I also have a team behind with me who'll be answering questions. So please feel free to ask any questions that you have in the queue. For those of you who haven't attended one of these types of events before, you might have noticed it's a little bit different. So this isn't like an interactive meeting where you can come off mute and share your screen or anything like that. This is more of a one-way presentation. And the way to interact with us is through the Q&A tool. So whenever questions pop up, just go ahead and post that up in the tool, and we'll either respond to them one-on-one, and we'll also take breaks throughout the session today and verbally cover whatever questions you have. Before we get into the topic today, I did want to let you know we do have some additional sessions coming up. We have sessions planned for the rest of June. We don't have a schedule for July yet, just so you know. So these sessions are what we have planned for now. And I just wanted to post these up here. If you have any interest in the other team's topics coming up, I want to let you know, make sure that you know you have access to them. So we use the same link every time for all of these trainings. We host fundamentals classes every Tuesday, which are really like a Teams 101 training. We have intermediate Teams trainings on Wednesdays. That's like a level 201 or whatever. We go over more advanced topics on that. Both of those are very worthwhile if you're just sort of getting used to Teams and just starting to learn it. And then every Thursday we have a rotation of special topics. So last week was application integration, both with Microsoft apps and third-party apps. Today's topic is around meetings. Next week's topic is on live events. So that's actually the tool that we're using for this broadcast right now. So if any of you are interested in learning more about that, you can join that one and so forth. So feel free to join as many of those as you like. And with that, we'll go ahead and kick things off. Okay, so meetings. We spend a lot of our work life and our life in meetings. This came from a Forrester study. We spend as much as 50% of our time at work in meetings. Sometimes it feels like for me, it's even more than that. And meetings are come in all different types, right? So we have one-on-one scheduled meetings, maybe with your boss or your skip level or with your teammates. You have collaborative team meetings with a larger group. You have project-based meetings, sort of like, sequential meetings to make progress on a specific task or an event or something that you're working on, and on and on. And then larger meetings like all-hand meetings and that kind of thing. We're going to cover tools for all of these scenarios today. And if there's something we don't cover that you typically work on that you want to make sure that we do cover, just post that up in the Q&A tool. We'll make sure we cover all of these. When it comes to meetings in Microsoft 365, and that's, by the way, Microsoft 365 is sort of the new branding for Office 365 and our security and mobility suite. So that's all Microsoft 365 means. When it comes to meetings in Microsoft 365, there's really for the last decade or something, there's always been two types, okay? Before it was in Skype. Now as Skype transitions and sunsets, it's more Teams is going to be the tool for all things meetings in the future. As of mid next year, it'll be the only tool available that Microsoft 365 has for meetings. And there's really two different types, right? So one are the sort of standard collaboration meetings on the left that we use, most frequently. These have a limit of 250 attendees in Office 365. So you can't go over 250 people in a standard Teams meeting. These are very much like peer-to-peer collaboration enabled events, right? So you can have all the tools that you need to sort of get stuff done with people at your disposal, whether it be, the ability to share your screen, share your video feed, share documents together, work on stuff together, whiteboard together, all of that stuff. Really easy to do, and we'll cover all of those tools. This is what we're going to be focusing on today. The other type of meeting that's in Microsoft 365 are what we call live events. So I just mentioned that on the previous screen. That's what we're using for this session today. These can scale up to 10,000 attendees and actually can go much higher than that. We just have that sort of our marketing is 10,000 attendees, but it's 10,000 attendees plus. And that's more of a one-way broadcast type event like we're using today. So you probably already getting the feel of what this type of event is just from participating today. We're not going to cover on that as much, but we do have training sessions on that in the future if you're interested. Now in Teams, the focus really is going to be around what you need to do to make meetings effective, right? And it's not just the time, the point when the meeting is started. You actually, in order to make an effective meeting, they're really kind of have an end-to-end approach. There are three important pieces. One is being able to send out any information, documents that you need to the group ahead of time, right? So this is your ability just to, communicate information, documents, agendas before the meeting. Second, during the meeting, you need all the tools to be able to participate collaboratively with your team, make sure that everybody is heard. And then afterwards, set up any after meeting action items, and then follow through with them. Make it easy to follow through, and then also to track that at the next meeting if it's a recurring meeting. So kind of a lot of text here, but Teams really does allow to do all of this. And this is just sort of a real broad overview before we start demoing here. But once you set up a Teams meeting, you can start chatting directly with attendees very easily. You can share documents and agendas and anything else that you need to collaborate together easily. Yeah, you can review history easily. During the meeting, you can do all of the things that you expect from an Office 365 meeting, including co-authoring, whiteboarding. The live captions are coming to GCC soon, which actually be the ability to transcript in live in real time what people are saying. A lot of cool tools that are available that we're going to be covering today. And then afterwards, you can use in Teams that same bridge that you used before you set up the meeting and during the meeting to also send up any follow-ups, mention people, and sort of tag them on stuff that they need to do. And basically collaborate on any actions that happen afterwards that then is just intuitively there for the next meeting that you have if it's a recurring meeting. So let's go through what this looks like. We're going to structure the presentation today really around three different types of meetings and which tools. So we're going to start there. When I think about meetings in Office 365, I really think there are three different types. So, one are like ad hoc meetings that you'd set up with your team as needed. So these could be just, you're texting with someone, you're chatting with someone over IM in Teams, and you're just chatting a lot, and you want to just sort of, instead of just keep typing away, you just want to have a quick session so you can set something up. Or maybe you're working in your Teams group and there's something that you want to work with someone on, and you set up a quick ad hoc bridge just to chat and collaborate, and other people might jump in and out as needed. So these aren't scheduled ahead of time, but they're really nice to have. It kind of mimics, and especially in this virtual environment that we're all working in right now, this really mimics the ability to just walk around to a desk and chat with somebody, right? And then maybe somebody else hears you chat with somebody and they chime in. It's the best way of mimicking that in the virtual space. It might not be perfect, but it does a really good job. The next way is really project-based and group-based. These are, sequential meetings where you're making progress together as a team over time. Those could be project status meetings or any number of things, right? So that's an important piece that we're going to touch on today. And then the third one are standalone and scheduled meetings. So those are just one-offs that you set up as needed with people to cover stuff. I tend to think of these, I use these more and more as time goes on. I end up using these two a lot more, and this one a lot less. But I do always typically use these one-off scheduled meetings, even if they're occurring with external stakeholders, like with my customers. I'm in the customer. I have a number of civilian customers, and I typically work with them through scheduled meetings that way. The tools for each of these three. So as you can see here, Teams is appropriate for all three. All right, which is why we're going to be spending most of our time in Teams, showing you how you can do all three in Teams today. We're actually going to start with Outlook, though, because that's probably the tool that most of you are familiar with, and we just want to make sure that we cover, what's available in Outlook, and then also show you that those same features are available in Teams. So let's start with Outlook. I'm going to have one more slide, and then we'll pull up the demo and just kind of start showing you stuff. In Teams, in the Outlook client, the easiest way to just get a standalone meeting started. So this is right for that third option that we had on the previous screen. The easiest way to get a standalone meeting started is just to click this Teams meeting plugin in your Outlook client. If you don't have that installed, that's something that is you should probably get installed. So probably work with your IT team to make sure it's there. But typically, if you have access to Teams, it should just show up. Once you start seeing that in your ribbon and you click it, then what'll happen is it'll set up a new meeting request and it'll give you a bridge. So one thing to note is you may or may not have dial-in information, and don't worry about it if you don't have it. That's okay. It's just a licensing difference. Everyone by default that has access to Teams can do voice over IP sessions. So you can, you'll always have the Teams meeting bridge, no matter what. And that's like a VoIP meeting experience, just like you would on, Skype for Business or even, regular Skype consumer version. If you have the dial-in information, that just means that you're licensed for it, and that's the ability to call into a meeting, and that's a pretty slick feature. So if you're on mobile, all you have to do is actually click that button, and it'll just dial the whole thing in, including the ID bridge and the ID number. So anyway, so once you start it, once you click that button, it should set that up. You type in the people that you want to invite, send it off, and then all you have to do from a receiving point of view is click either this button for VoIP, or if you're on mobile, or if you would rather join for whatever reason via cell, you can do it that way. And then you can join from any device that you need to. So if you think about everything on Office 365 is available via browser. We're going to do the demos in browsers today. But a lot of the different products also have applications, right? So like Teams has a really nice desktop app and a really nice mobile app as well. So you can join, if you're invited to a meeting, you can join just as easily through your desktop client or your browser or your cell phone or your iPad or whatever, an Android device, whatever. Really, it's the same thing, same process every time, and it's really just clicking the link. And then the one exception is you'd probably need a cell phone, or you'd need some device with the ability to call if you want to use the dial-in number. Okay, so with that, let's first cover setting these up in Outlook. So this is my, I'm doing the demo today in our GCC environment, just so you all know. These trainings are for the federal government space primarily, and many of you probably are in the GCC environment, some of you may not be. Just to let you know, if yours looks a little bit different, that just means you might have a slightly different licensing setup than I do, and it also means that you might be in a different cloud. But more or less, everything I show you today should be pretty much the same across all of our different federal clouds. So just know that. So this is my GCC demo tenant. And by the way, just one quick thing, if you go to, I always like to promote this, if you go to portal.office.com, that is your Office 365 homepage. So I just put in an announcement in the chat. I just list that because a lot of people don't realize that they have access to that. This is, really everything that you have available in Office 365 is available through that link. You can also go to office.com, by the way, and sign in. But the idea is if you can authenticate, so whatever that means for your organization, you might need a CAT card to authenticate or whatever. once you kind of get, of course, you need a browser, you need connectivity, but once you get authenticated, you're pushed over to this Office 365 homepage, and then you can access everything in your Office 365 suite via browser. And in addition, if you have any clients set up on your device, you can use your local clients as well, or your mobile clients as well. But so just to let you know, this is what I'm looking at here. This is my homepage. So first, let's look at Outlook. So, on that last slide that I showed you, right, this is what the Outlook client looks like. So I'm going to show you what the Outlook browser looks like. I'm not going to mimic the client here, but I will show you the browser. So let's go back to our tenant and click Outlook. Actually, I probably should click Calendar. So this is my mail, and then if I click Calendar, here is the easiest way to just sort of schedule meetings with people through the browser. All right, so these are the meetings that I have for my day today. It looks like I'm on Pacific time here, so it's 7 in the morning in my tenant. And if I want to start a new Teams meeting, pretty simple. Click New Event. Add a title. You go through all kind of the typical stuff. You can, invite the people on the team that you need to invite, set up the time, and then, a couple different options to make sure that you know about. One, we have the scheduling assistants that are available. This is available in Outlook Client and also in the browser and also in Teams. This just makes it really easy to find availability for the teams. Let's say I want to add also a couple other people here. We'll add Bob. We'll add who else? We'll add. Trying to think who else is in here. Yeah, Nestor. We'll add Nestor. So now you can see in real time. So this is the time it is right now, and then in real time you can see what everybody on the team, their availability is for the day. So it looks like people have a pretty free afternoon, which is nice. We've got a few meetings in the morning, and then everyone's free in the afternoon. So maybe we want to schedule this in the afternoon. So we'll go from 2, let's say I want an hour, so I can just sort of like click and drag that to expand if I'd like. So now we have this scheduled from 2 to 3. Everyone here that's invited is available from 2 to 3. I could also go in the future more if I wanted to. I could look at Friday or even next week or whatever if I wanted to, but people are free today, so let's do that. Click done. If there's something that I want to repeat over time, I can choose this recurrence option to do that, right? So I can choose every day or every week or every month to do that. So let's make this one every week, sure. And then this Teams button here is the way that you add a Teams meeting to the browser version. Okay, so again, the way that you do that in the client is by clicking this, but the way that you do it in the browser is by clicking this little Teams meeting button here. So click that. If I had a room that I wanted to schedule it in and that's set up in our gal, I could do that too. I'm not going to do that today. You can put in the description here to let people know why you're inviting them to a meeting. So meeting details. We'll cover X, Y, and Z. And then I fire it off. So now you see this new meeting. Oh, I didn't even title. This new meeting is available now in the afternoon. I could click on it. I can see that I've invited these people to the meeting. People haven't responded yet. That's okay. Set up for 2 o'clock. So let's say that it's afternoon. So fast forward a couple hours, and let's say that it's time to actually join and start that meeting. Well, yeah. Basically, if I go to my Teams client. So you can join this meeting a couple of ways. I think the easiest way to join a Teams meeting is to just do it through Teams. You can also do it through the pop-up that pops up in Outlook. You can do it a couple different ways, but the way that I always typically do it, the way I think it's easiest, is just go to Teams and then track your calendar here and then find your meeting that now popped up in the afternoon. Okay, so something to know about your Teams client. So the calendar section here, this is everything this is basically a mirror image of your Outlook calendar. So if you noticed, my Outlook calendar was this, and I'll just show the same view here. So this is my week of meetings in my Outlook calendar. If I go back to Teams, you'll see it looks the exact same. So this is just a mirror image. So it's the same underlying data. It's the same service information from Office 365. It's all coming from Exchange Online. So the source is only one source, but it's being produced both in my Outlook calendar and also my Teams calendar. So you see here that if I scroll down to this this afternoon meeting down here at 5 now, this is the meeting that I just set up with the team. So I click that. You see it's the same people that I invited, and those details that I put in, and the meeting details because I clicked meeting details. So that is one way to set up the meeting, and that's through Outlook, right? You can do it either through the client or through the browser. Now I'm going to show you how to do that same thing in Teams. So here I am in Teams. Let's say I want to set up another meeting. Let's just do the same thing again, only let's use Teams. So you see these buttons up top. I have two options. I have Meet Now and Meeting. So the Meet Now, that just spins up a bridge. If you need a quick bridge, you can use that to like spin up a bridge, like test your audio, maybe if you want to, or maybe if you just want to spin up a bridge. I sometimes use that to record random things that I am recording and then post up as videos. Or if you want to spin up a bridge and invite someone to it and have a quick one-on-one, you could use that too. I think there's an easier way to do that. We'll show you later. But just so you know, that's what that does. If you click Meet Now, it just takes you straight to a meeting screen and then spins up a meeting. Now, the easiest way I think to schedule a meeting, so this one-off meeting, is to go to New Meeting, click that, and now let's do this here. So let's do lunch, virtual lunch. Since we're all working virtual right now, let's just have a lunch meeting together and chat. Let's do this from 12 to 1. I'm going to invite Deborah to the meeting. I could again find if we were set up in the galley, you can set up your time. But all the same options that were available in Outlook are available in Teams. At least most of them should be. So if I click the scheduling assistant, you'll see the same information pops up. It's a little bit different view, right? Like Teams looks a little different than Outlook does, but it's the same information. And I basically can see when Deborah's free and when she's not free. So let's say that, we're going to do an early lunch at 11. Cool. So let's schedule that then. And then I can go in and do everything else, put in, if I want to do recurrence is in here as well. Here we go, repeat. This little repeat option here, you click that. That's that same recurrence option that's available in Outlook, and that's if you want to set something up daily or weekly or monthly or whatever it is. You have quite a few options there, which is nice. You can also choose when you want to end it. So like, let's say you have something that you're setting up for, a weekly session, but only for the next 2 months. You can set that up as weekly here, and then every Thursday at 11. But then you can also say, I want to end that by the end of July. Okay. Or yeah, oops, starts today, ends in July. So now I have this over like that span. These would be set up on our calendar. All that in, hit schedule. And now what you see is it's created this bridge for Deborah and I for this lunch meeting every week now for the next 8 weeks or whatever that is, that we can access. So what's cool about that is I can now choose, you'll see here, this is an option that's not available in Outlook, that's only available in Teams, this chat with participants meeting. So I mean, I have a few options here. I can come in and I can, if I choose, I could cancel the meeting if I wanted to. I could edit it if I wanted to. If I wanted to invite some more people, I could do that. Yeah, and then actually before we go with that, I'm going to show you the meeting options because this is important too. So I now have this bridge that's available, and you see it's just set up right here, right? There are some meeting options so same with Skype for business, you have some options on how you want to manage. If you want to manage your meeting in a certain way, you can do that through this. So it's a little bit different. It'll pop up in a browser, which is a little bit different than Skype. But these are basically meetings that the options that you have to manage meetings that you organize and set up. Really, it's pretty basic, right? Like as time goes on, I think they'll probably build in some more options here, just so you know. For now, it's pretty basic, but these are important tools to have, especially if you're setting up a larger meeting, like for 100 people, 150 people or something. Once you start getting a lot of people in a meeting, it's nice to have these options available. It really helps you organize. As the meeting organizer, it helps you manage the meeting. So right now, you just really have two options. One is setting up a lobby. So by default, the lobby won't be set up. But if you do want to have a lobby set up, like let's say that you want everyone, so by default, actually, a lobby won't be set up internally, I guess I should say. But by default, a lobby would be set up for people that are external. So let's say that you want to have everyone bypass the lobby, just click that and no lobby will be set up, right? Now, if you want to have a lobby set up for external participants, for all external participants, if you click this people in my organization one, that means that only people in your tenant, like basically people in your organization, can bypass it. So I'm with Microsoft. That would mean that everybody at Microsoft could join directly, but anyone outside of Microsoft would have to be accepted, would go to a lobby first and would have to be accepted by a meeting manager. This option here is just like a slight difference. That means that everyone that our organization currently trusts will be able to bypass the lobby, and anyone that our organization doesn't trust wouldn't. So, that's like something that your security teams can review and set up, basically whitelisting other domains and other organizations to participate directly with you in Office 365. If you have other organizations like that, and you click this, then they will be able to bypass the lobby directly, and then anyone that your organization doesn't trust would still hit the lobby, if that makes sense. So with this, let's just keep it easy and say everyone's available to join. And this is a really nice feature too. This says basically who can present. So if you have a small meeting with 5, 10, 15 people or something, it probably makes sense just to leave that, to just sort of give everyone the opportunity to present their screen and everything if they need to. Now, if you're having a larger meeting like 100 people, 150 people, you can go up to 250 again in these types of meetings. If you have a large meeting like 200 people, you definitely want to go to meeting options and select one of these, because what this allows, it then by default only, like, you are the manager of the meeting by default. You're the only one who can present in the meeting by default, and then you can promote other people in the meeting to be presenters. So it's very similar to Skype if you're used to doing that in Skype for Business. It's the same kind of thing. So anyway, so let's say that I do want only me to be the presenter here to start, and then I'll show you once we actually join this meeting how we can promote people. Okay, so now that our options are set up, let's save that. And I can just close that out. It's saved. And now I want to show you, so this option here. So again, this is something that's not available in Outlook. It's a really cool feature that's only in Teams. If I click Chat with Participants, what you'll see is in Teams, it'll open up a new bridge. So I call this a bridge, whatever you want to call this, a new workspace for this meeting. So this is a one-off meeting, meaning that like this meeting wasn't scheduled anywhere else. It was scheduled just as a one-off separate meeting. Even though it's a recurring meeting that now happens every week, it's still a separate entity, a separate meeting. And now for that meeting moving forward, we now have this workspace to work in for all of our meetings in this recurring meeting moving forward. So you can see here, if you're familiar with Teams, the options here look kind of similar to Teams, right? We have a chat workspace, we have a files workspace, and then we have meeting notes, which is a nice way to just keep meeting notes for this recurring meeting in the same place. So what's nice about this is really the area where if we go back to, let's see, this slide here, right? This is really where we're going to be able to do all of our stuff before, well, really all three of these things, but this is where we can do all of the stuff beforehand with people, right? So, and it's very easy. So let's say I'm in here and I say, hi. So the only other person in this meeting is Deborah right now. I could add some other people to it, even if I wanted to. So like, let's say like as time goes on, like we have a couple of these meetings, I'm gonna add people over time. It's just that easy to add somebody to this. But Deborah's in here with me and I say, hi, Deborah. let's get an agenda going for our lunch meeting tomorrow. Or I guess it's today, our lunch meeting today. So now I've just @mentioned Deborah. So for those of you who are comfortable in Teams, right, I've used the @mention to kind of mention her. She then gets a ping in her activity feed that I've mentioned her. And great, she's on the other line, she's in Teams working, doing whatever she's doing. She sees that I message her and she says, sound great. Cool, so I'll go ahead and I'll actually add a file to this for us to start working off of together. And so again, all these features, if you're familiar with Teams, they all look very, it looks the same, right, as in Teams basically. So if I click attach, let's say I've this uploaded in my OneDrive. I'll have something good for lunch. And I've got an agenda in here, cool. So you see, yeah, already, okay, so let's use this agenda today. Now, once I uploaded that file, you see the little like the pre-summary loads up, it's ready to go. I hit the little airplane, or I could just hit enter. And now I've posted up, I've referenced a document, I've uploaded a document to our meeting bridge, and now we have this document to work off of. And of course, you have all these rich text features, right? Let's say like, I don't know, I could do, maybe there's like a hamburger. Yeah, there we go. I'm having a hamburger. It's kind of psychedelic. All right. Anyway, so you know you have all these rich text abilities that you have in a standard Teams team or in your one-on-one IMs. So now you notice here, if I go from chat over to files, that meeting agenda that I just uploaded is now available in files. So I can access that in a number of ways. I can go back to chat and I can access it there. I can also access it directly from here. So let's say that Deborah I would like, actually, let's do this. So, hey Deborah, can you co-edit the agenda with me? I'm now asking her, hey, like, let's collaborate on a document ahead of time just to make best use of our time in the meeting. Go back to files, it's there, or I can go from chat. I can scroll up and that little document that I posted, either way, it'll bring me to this screen. I can choose to edit this. Again, you have a number of different options in Teams to edit, right? You can edit in your browser or in Teams. I'm just going to do the default and edit it right in Teams. And then you'll notice once Deborah does the same, that she'll hop in and we can edit this just in real time, just like in any other Teams bridge or a team together. So it's this really nice way to be able to collaborate with people that you're working with easily, to upload documents ahead of time, to have any, set any expectations ahead of time with the meeting, with the people in the meeting that you'd like to. And if you have any work to do ahead of time, you can do that too. Cool. So she says she's in the meeting. Awesome. By the way, if you click this little button over here, it'll just expose the IMs that we had in that chat together. So instead of having to go back to that IM page, I can just click that little chat button on the top right, and it pops everything that we just talked about in our GIFs and everything up in here. I'll like that message. Cool. And you see here, I can see that Deborah's in the meeting. So she's co-authoring in real time, and she's actually in real time editing, right? And you can have up to, I believe it's at least 20. It might be up to like 50 people that can co-author in real time. Might actually even be more than that. I've never hit the limit. You can edit with more people than I think you'd probably need to, all in real time. So you could have like 10 people in here, everybody editing a different section and getting stuff done if you need to. So okay, so we've got our agenda set. We've got we've set expectations, which we've done really well with these GIFs. And now it's time to actually join the meeting and start working together. So I'll click this join button. And before, actually, this is a nice break. Shane and group, before I get into all the meeting capabilities and such, any questions that we can answer from our audience?
Yep, we've got two.
Okay.
So one person asked, I want to disable camera for attendees, but not my presenters. I can do that in Skype, but I don't see it in Teams. So I think they want to basically just not have people be able to join with their camera on. And I don't know if that's in the meeting setup, or Adam.
Yeah, I don't think you can do that. What I will show you though is an ability for at least you as a participant in the meeting to shut off all of the cameras so that you don't see them.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure that you can turn them off for everybody. I don't think that's a feature right now.
And I would just say that as you set up the meeting, maybe put it into the invitation, like, please don't join with camera if you are not presenting, just a matter of communicating with others as you start things off. And then we have another question. We actually had a lot of people were really impressed, Adam, with your like Surface Pen and the way that you were annotating and writing
yeah.
the screen. So
sure.
A friend of ours on the call would like you to cover how you did the screen annotations.
Yeah, okay, that's a little bit of an aside, but happy to roll fast. So, you know, just so you know, I'll show you here, just kind of, we can just take a quick break from the topic and just kind of show you. This is, for those of you that use PowerPoint, this is the meeting bridge, or no, it's the, oh, what do you call this? It's like the space, the presenter view, the presenter view. So this is my presenter view. This is showing me what I'm presenting in PowerPoint and what's coming up next. And you have cool different options down here. By the way, if you're not familiar with this, I would definitely play around with it. You can do cool things like magnify in certain sections. You can quickly go and like click around to different slides. And so instead of just like going, you know, if I need to hit this slide, instead of like hitting forward 5 times, I can just click it and it'll pop up. But anyway, so the way that I do that is from here, I have a stylus, so I'm using an actual like pen on my Surface. I have a Surface device, so highly recommend the Surface device if you're interested, but you don't even need one. You can just click this, click on button, click on, you have different options here. By default, I think it's laser pointer, which just does that, so you can point around to stuff. I like using the pen, and then you can just like with the mouse, like click around and do stuff. So there it is. That's how you do it. And you can also change like your ink color and a lot of cool options, and you can erase and stuff like that. So there it is.
Cool. That's all the questions, Adam. Feel free to head on into that meeting.
All right. Awesome. Okay, so back in our tenant. So Deborah and I are going to start chatting together. We're gonna kick this thing off. Let's say it's 11 or whenever we set this thing up, and we can kick it off. And I guess that's something to mention too. Is every time you have a once you set up the bridge, you can just start using it. So you don't have to like wait until the time or anything. I mean, the bridge is there. Once it's there, it's available. So anybody can quickly join in. Like, let's say you want to have like a quick pre-chat like ahead of time with someone. You could use that bridge to do it if you wanted to. So just know it's now available to join. So let's go through kind of the next phase, which are all the different options in a Teams meeting that you have to make your Teams experience and meeting like the best it can be. Okay, so if you click join here, so actually let's add, just for fun, we'll add Bob. Oh yeah, and this is cool just to kind of show everybody. When you add someone to a meeting, just like you can do into chat, you can choose to include the chat history or not. That's basically just for privacy reasons. Like if you want to bring Bob in and you don't want Bob to see these awesome gifts that we've been passing along, I could say do not include chat history, but I don't care. So let's say include it. So we'll add Bob to the meeting too. So now Bob's part of it. Okay, so let's join. And the first thing you'll see is you come to, oh, yeah, hi everybody, that's me. I'm gonna turn that off. The first thing that you'll see is you come to what we call internally at least like the powder room. So this is like your setup area. So most people, if they don't really click around with this, they just kind of click through it and then they join and then they configure stuff. But I recommend actually take a second and get yourself set up properly here, because you haven't quite joined the meeting yet, but it gives you a space just like set everything up the way that you want it set up. So that when you join, it's like, you know, your audio is working, your mic is working, you have your camera turned on or turned off, you're muted or you're not. I mean, so you're set up all the way that you want to be set up. Okay, so let's kind of go through what the options are here. So one, we have the camera, right? So I just turn that off. If I want to start with camera, I would just turn that back on. This is the ability to mute or unmute. So if I want to join muted, I can turn that on or off. This devices here is really important. Okay, so when people join meetings, 99% of the time, if they have issues with like they can't hear you or you can't hear them, odds are they don't have their devices set up. Now, sometimes it's like another issue, you know, like maybe you need an update installed or something, a driver installed, but typically like 99% of the time it's just going to be this. So this is important to review. So if you click devices here, what you'll see in Teams is you have 3 different options to configure. So first is your speaker. So this is how you hear incoming audio, right? So right now I have this set up to my speakerphone, but you see I have a number of other devices set up. I could also click my my headset, which I'm using right now to talk with you all, so I don't want to click that one. I could choose just the speakers that are available on my computer. You know, whatever, I think that's my monitor. Whatever you have set up in your workspace, you should be able to click, you know, and choose which speaker you want to speak through. Now, separately, you don't have to just use that for the microphone too. You can set that up separately too. So for now, I'm going to just leave the speakerphone for both my speaker and microphone. But you could actually, like for instance, have your audio come through one device and then your microphone be a different device. And typically, I don't think you really need to use that. But if you have like a more advanced setup, or especially if you have like more of a higher production like meeting where you have, you know, multiple people or people in a room together, that might come in handy. All right. So anyways, you just know that. So this is the microphone where, you know, the device that I'm speaking into. And then I have my camera. So I actually have 3 different cameras, or 2 different cameras set up in my house. So I have a separate webcam, so I could choose that, or I can just choose what I had on earlier, which is the camera that's included in my Surface device. So I can click which one of those I want. So, you know, like anyway, so you can choose whatever you want there. And so again, that's, you know, when people have questions, because like I just noticed a lot of these questions come up. Going through this with them helps a lot. So that's how you get properly set up from a device standpoint. Also know that once we start, you know, these are especially handy down here. Once we start going back into the office and start, working in teams in person together again, these options down here are pretty nice too. So the first option that we have is audio off. If you're in a meeting room, right? Like let's say you're in a meeting room with like 20 other people and you're all using a Teams bridge to join a meeting. This is a really nice way, if you just click audio off, it's a really nice way to participate in the meeting, to be able to see who else is in there and chat with everybody and do everything else. But there's 0 chance that you're going to be the reason that feedback comes through. Because, you know, like how many times have you been in a meeting with like 20 people and then people start to join and then everybody hears echoes and everything's, you know, the sounds just starts bouncing off one another and all that, right? So if you click audio off, that just means that you're not going to be the one contributing that. You're good. The second, if you want to do phone audio, I use that a lot for like if I'm in a coffee shop or something like that. You know, if I have my device on like the Starbucks network or whatever, and I'm working, I want to join through that, but I actually want to just like actually use my phone to talk with people because I don't have a headset or whatever. Phone audio is a good option there. I think that has to be, you have to be licensed for our conference line. So if that doesn't show up, it just means your license different, no big deal. But if you have access to it, you can click that and then, yeah, and then you put in the phone number, okay? And then that third option was add a room. I don't think that's that important to cover right now, but basically that's like, if you have a Teams room set up, you can also add a room to it. And then it's a really seamless way to just like kick a meeting off. It's really nice. Okay, so anyway, so now we're in the meeting together. Cool. Deborah's in here too. Awesome. So let's go through all the different options that we have in a standard Teams meeting to participate with people and all that. All right, so if you notice here, it kind of disappears if I stop clicking around a little bit, like it disappears. But if you notice, if I move the cursor around, we have this meeting bar, right? This meeting bar is sort of our main, all of our tools for the meeting are available in this meeting bar. And also just a heads up, I don't know when it's going to change, but at some point, probably this calendar year or something like that, the format will actually change a little bit. This meeting bar will end up popping up to the top and being persistent. So just know like this is how it is today. Sometime in the future, it'll actually change to a little bit different format that I think is actually a little bit nicer. But this is how it is today. So let's cover what it is today. So first I have the duration of the meeting on the left. So if you join a meeting late or something, you can see how long it's been going on. Next I have the ability to turn my camera on or off, so I can do that again here. I can turn my audio on or off. This is my VoIP audio on my machine, right? And this is the share feature. So if I want to share some information, so let's say I want to click and share something. I'm in the web browser, so this looks maybe slightly different than the client, but it's basically kind of has all the same options here. I can see, you know, just to kind of show you here, I click share, right? You'll see this pane pops up. If you're in the client, you'll see a lot more squares, and that's just because it's just a little bit kind of a different feel in the browser than the client. But let's say I'm in the browser, I click this, and then if you're in the client, you'll see all of these separately kind of underneath initially. So it'll kind of save you that extra step of clicking, if that makes sense. Anyway, but you'll see all these options either way, one way or the other, depending on how you're in Teams, you'll see all these different options. So now I have, it's important, I think, to cover the different types of ways that you can share content, because you can share them in different ways. One is you can share the entire screen. Okay, so this is what I'm using right now with all of you. And this means that I can share my PowerPoint, right? My PowerPoint pops up. But then if I also switch back to Teams, my Teams pops up wherever that is. My Teams pops up. So you're seeing everything that happens on my screen in real time as it happens. It also means if someone sends me an IM or like an email, it also means that banner, you know, if that banner popped up there, that you would also see that. So just know that, right? Like everything on the screen is displayed, whether you want it to be or not. So that's these options, which I think is really nice, especially for these types of presentations where you're flipping through different applications. Like, you know, I just use PowerPoint, now I'm using a browser. I think, you know, I could pull up Outlook or whatever, right? So that this is a nice way to do that. The other way that you can share are different applications. The reason that you would want to share applications specifically, so for instance, PowerPoint is typically what people use for these. Now, what's nice about that is you'll share just the application. So like, let's say I'm sharing a PowerPoint, only PowerPoint will show up. You know, my doodles will show up in PowerPoint, and when I flip through the slides, it'll all be current, but only PowerPoint application will show up. And then if someone sends me an email or something, or let's say I have multiple things on my screen, none of that will be presented to the larger meeting, only PowerPoint will be. So what's really nice about using this option is, you know, one, there's no chance of anybody seeing anything else that you have in your desktop, which is just, you know, sometimes you're working on stuff and you have private IMs and you just want to make sure, right, that stays private. So that's nice. The second piece is it actually uses a lot less bandwidth, because if you think about it, when you present this screen, like if you think about it, it's like presenting a bunch of pixels, you know, and all these pixels are changing in real time. So it's pretty heavy from a bandwidth perspective on the network. But if you share an application like a PowerPoint, all you're presenting is just what's in the PowerPoint. Like, so there's an initial load up of the deck, and then it's a really, really low bandwidth you know, drain after that. So it's a nice, so if you're looking to save bandwidth, if you're in an area with not a lot of, you know, with low connectivity, it's a really nice way to do that. And then last, you can share browsers. So if you wanted to just, instead of sharing an application, if you wanted to share like a browser, I could do that too. So these are the browsers and whatever else I have open. I was testing, you know, whatever. Okay. So let's say I'm good on that. I'm not going to share right now, but all you to share something is click that and hit share, and then it pops up for everybody. Okay. So easy as that to share. Second option, or these little, you know, call them breadcrumbs, or the ellipses button, basically. This has like everything else that's available that's not in the ribbon. So let's just go top to bottom. So one, show device settings. This is what we already covered earlier. You can also cover this. You can also change this in real time in the meeting, which is nice. 2, meeting notes. So if you remember, well, I'll maybe go back and show you, but if you click meeting notes, I now have this pane pop up on the right that I can go in and start taking notes as a team. So let's say I want to start using that. It really uses if you've used the wiki feature in Teams, it basically uses that underlying tool for notes. So it'll look very, very similar to wiki if you used that before. And the way I've used it before is I've just sort of titled stuff by meetings. Let's say lunch meeting, and let's see, what's the date today? June 11th, 6/11/20. And then down here, I can do, I can start taking notes here. I can use bullets. I can do a bulleted list, basically like everything else that's available in Wiki that you've used before. You have a lot of different options here. You can put in links and whatever. And then for the next meeting, when let's fast forward a week from now, when we have the same occurring next week, then I could maybe start a new section here and call that lunch meeting. I guess that would be the 18th, 6/18/20. And then I could go start taking meetings there, or I can use it. You don't have to use it that way, but this is just typically how I do it. You could also do it by like section or whatever category that you're working through. But just know that's how meetings work. So really nice tool. This is now associated with the meeting bridge. So you have to be in the meeting to see these notes. They're not accessible anywhere else, but really easy to reference them and have like an ongoing place for meeting notes as time goes on through this tool. So it's a really nice way to just sort of keep track of stuff for the meeting. Showing meeting details is the next option. So this is just the bridge information. Like let's say someone needs to dial in or whatever, and you just need to find the details. Also, so I don't know if you all use this feature much, but if I go to just kind of a quick one, this is a really nice tip, I think. Like let's say that this is to like a group of 8 people, and or actually let's do this one. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to find a non-meeting. All right, this will be fine. If I click here and you click reply all by meeting, what that does is it basically takes this email and it creates a calendar request directly from the email that you have in Outlook. I use this all the time and it saves me a ton of time. So what you'll see in here is now I have, everything in here. It came from it by default. It adds everybody that was on the main 2 line in the 2, and then it'll add anybody that's like CC'd as optional. And you can go through and you can configure the meeting however you want, per usual. But what's nice, if you look at down here, it has the email that I just used that from. So instead of having to go back, what I used to do before I knew this feature existed is I'd create a separate standalone meeting, I'd copy and paste from the email thread, I'd paste it in here, I'd retype it, whatever. Now I can just click that, it creates a meeting from the email. I can just say, let's meet to chat about the below. Let's meet to chat about the below. And we'll meet today at 3 o'clock. We'll make it a Teams meeting. So now Teams is associated with this. Hit send. And now I've just sent that out to the group. So that's a really, really nice way to set up meetings. Anyway, I say that because coming back to here, if I had set that up this way, all of that information in the calendar, anyway, all that information in the calendar in the request would have popped up here below. Okay. So that's really, really nice if you're referring to an email chain that this meeting is associated with. It's a really nice way to just go back and see what that information is. Yeah, it's a really nice feature there. Also, because I have dialing capabilities, I can also choose to dial in a keypad. I can also start recording. So a meeting, anyone can start recording a meeting. An organizer or a presenter can record a meeting. If you're an attendee, I don't believe that you can, but an organizer or a presenter can. So if you want to start a recording, you can do that. So now the recording is started. You'll see once you hit start recording a couple of things. You'll see this little red icon pops over here that indicates that something's being recorded. You'll also see this header pop up at the top saying it's a legal statement saying hey, you're being recorded, make sure you're being recorded, make sure you know that, and then I click dismiss to get it away. But basically it's just prompting everybody, making sure people know that they're being recorded at the time, right? Okay, next feature here, which is kind of a newer feature that's kind of cool, is the raise hand feature. So this is if you have a meeting with 200 people and somebody has a question, this raise hand feature is a really nice way to say, hey, you know, like I have something I want to say, but like let's say other stuff is happening, you know, you have multiple people talking, then whoever's organizing the meeting can say, okay, hey, so Diego, now can you come off mute and speak up? We'd love to hear from you, right? And then once I speak up, I would just lower my hand. And that shows, by the way, over here in the participant pane. So this last button here, the participant pane, if I click the meeting, or if I click the hand button, the hand pops up, and then I can take the hand away. Last in this is the chat. So this is that. So what's interesting about this is the same chat that Deborah and I had before, right? So same information here, and I can just add to it. And I have all the features available, like I can add files, I can do emojis, I mean, I can do all that stuff. And then
did you change anything with your audio settings?
What's that?
We've just got just a few people commenting that there's no more audio. Did you change anything with your audio settings?
Really?
I hear you fine, so not sure.
Let's see. Maybe it's, how about now? Can we do a sound check now? Do I sound okay?
Yeah, if people would just let us know if you can hear Adam, that'd be great. But yeah, we had 2 people pop up and just say they can. Sorry to interrupt.
No, that's good.
Keep on going. Okay. We'll see if anyone says anything else.
Yep. Okay, so let's go back in here. And I just want to show 1 or 2 more other things here. So if I go to participants, like let's say that Deborah is supposed to be in the meeting with me right now and she's not. Okay, good. Some people can hear us. Okay, good. So Deborah's supposed to be in the meeting info and she's not. I can actually do this thing. If I click the little ellipses over here, I can click her to ask to join. So what this does, it actually sends her a prompt. She can't, it doesn't force her to do anything, but it sends her a prompt saying, Diego's inviting you to this meeting. And then she has to click on it and then she can join the meeting directly. Cool, so it worked. Now Deborah is a part of the meeting, awesome. So I did want to show, and actually one last thing before we, oh, nice. Okay, cool. So check this out too. So this is just new, just popped up in GCC. You have the ability to download the attendee list. So that's new, which is awesome. So if you don't see that in your tenant, never fear. This is newly released, but you have the available after the fact to go in and actually download the attendee list. So everybody that was included in the meeting, you can download a list of that. So that's awesome. That's a heavily requested feature that just popped up like this week. So anyway, so check that out. You can add more people directly from here. Like let's say I think I invited Nestor, maybe I didn't. Let's say I invited Nestor. I can now I can like call Nestor and see if he can come in. He's not available. That's okay. And then, so if I'm managing, so let's imagine I have like 200 people in this call, right? So you see, I'm the only presenter, and Deborah and Nestor are both attendees, and then Bob was invited, but he's not joining. Or yeah, Nestor's not an attendee, but Deborah's the only attendee, and Bob's not. So usually you'd have like, if you set it up with using the meeting options we used earlier, now we have like, you know, me as the presenter and like 199 people as attendees. But let's say Deborah wants to present to the larger group. All I have to do as the presenter is go here, click this, click make a presenter. And now, now Deborah has full presenting rights. So still the vast majority of the people in the meeting cannot present. They can't interrupt the presentation. But now Deborah and I can present and we can manage the meeting. So Deborah and I can actually go in and mute people and stuff like that too, now that I've just elevated her permission level to do that. So that's basically all the features that are available in a standard Teams meeting. And before we move on, I'd like to take a break and do we have any questions about the features that are available or anything that I just covered?
Looking good over here, Adam.
Okay, cool. So we can chat, we can present stuff, we can share a video, we can do all of that. Let's say that we're done with meeting. Sometimes this prompt will come up, by the way. This is just like a survey tool. This actually goes to your IT team, and this shows you, just tells them how good the call quality was on your meeting, which is kind of nice. So let's dismiss that. Well, cool. All right, so here we are back in our bridge. So now, we had this meeting ahead of time, right? Just kind of recap. I shared the agenda ahead of time. We chatted back and forth before the meeting. Then you'll see these little prompts actually show you that we did meet. So we met. And it shows you all the activity, which is pretty cool. We created notes. By the way, those notes now up here, same notes that were in that bridge. Cool. All, it's all keeping it all in the same place, which is nice. Our files still show the agenda, and our chat still the same chat. And now you'll notice, like after we finished, what happened is this little meeting recording popped up. So if you remember when I recorded the meeting, I recorded for about 2 minutes. And so this is the recording from the meeting that I can access both within the chat and also through the back end. And I'll just show you really quickly here. So if I go to Office Home and I go to Stream, think of Stream as your organizational internal YouTube. So it's only internal. This is not a tool that you can share videos with external people with, but just for your organization. If you click Stream, what you'll see is, and it has to be enabled in your org. So, if it's not there, it just means it has been enabled. Bug IT, if you don't have it, it's important to have it, I think. So here's my internal user. I can go through and I can I can follow people. I can create channels. If you are a trainer and you want to have create a sequential, training list, like Teams 100, Teams 200, Teams 300 training, you could set that up and put that in order and then share that channel, and then people could go and view that channel. I mean, Stream is a very cool tool. But if I go to content and I go to my content and videos, you also notice this virtual lunch just from today popped up. So this is 2 minutes. This is the same one that that Deborah and I just had. And here we are, right? So I can see this. There's some little options here. If I want to play around with it, I could actually choose to trim the video. Like, let's say there's some dead space in the beginning or the end. I could cut that out. So just real simple video editing features, but nice to have. And I could go and add those to channels. I could update the video details here and stuff like that. Yeah, so anyway, so I can access it here, or probably most likely most people will just access it in Teams. And all you have to do to access Teams is it's there, it pops up in the chat. I click that and the video pops up and I can interact with it and watch it directly from Teams. Real easy, just real easy to do. And if I was showing stuff, that recording would all be there. So I didn't share my screen, but if I did, you'd see all that too. So you'd hear the audio, full recording with all the features you'd expect. Okay, so that's kind of a lot, but that is basically, I did want to cover these 3 sections, right? And so we just really covered this standalone scheduled section. So before we go to the next section, any questions about anything that we just covered there to set up, should be all set setting up scheduled meetings at this point. Any questions about that?
How did you include the original email in the meeting? So I think just how do you reach out to the people that you initially invite and talk to them beforehand? I think, I'm not sure.
I think it was actually probably it was adding, okay. So let's say you're an email, all right, and this is let's do, a lot of these are meetings. Let's do something that's not a meeting. So this isn't a meeting. If I click the ellipsis up here up top, it also is available in your Teams client in the ribbon. So it's available in your client in the ribbon or here. And I go to reply all by meeting. Then what happens is it sets up a new calendar request, full calendar features. It puts whoever was in the 2 there. So this is to the finance team. So it's sending that by default, but I could also change that. I could add people. I could take people away. I could do whatever I want. And then I can add text down here, just like a standard meeting, and I can add a Teams meeting to it. So that's basically how you do it, though, is this ellipses, the reply all by meeting. I think that's what that was referring to. Any other questions?
Yeah, Adam, can you go and schedule a meeting within a channel really quick so everyone can see what that looks like again?
Yeah, I actually haven't done that one yet, but I'm happy to do that. Let's do that one next. So that's this one here. So let's cover that one next. So So next, using Teams, we have, so that's kind of like the Teams 101, how to set up a meeting, right? Kind of similar to how Outlook is, but with a few little differences. So the real magic of Teams, though, is to be able to do ad hoc meetings with people and to set up meetings in channels as well. So if you think about all these different teams, right, these are all different groups of people, and the channels within a team are different workspaces for that group of people to participate in. So right now, let's look at the finance channel. Each one of these channels looks a little different, right? So there's actually an event that was set up previously. There's a file that was shared, different than, this channel looks a little bit different. So the way to set up a channel meeting is actually, you can do it a couple of different ways. So I'll show you 2 different ways to do it. The first that I think is probably the easiest is just to go to the channel, click this little meeting button down here that says Meet Now. And this allows you to do, one of 2 things. One, you can just kick off a meeting. It keeps turning on my camera. Hi, everybody. You can kick off a meeting directly from here. And it starts up a bridge and spins up a bridge. And now everybody that has access to the finance team can go in and click it and join. So that's one. That's like an ad hoc way to do it. The other way to do it would be to go down here. So like once you click that Meet Now and you click Schedule a Meeting, now you see what happens is the same meeting request that was available pops up. So all the same stuff that we went through before, so not going to cover that again. The only difference is it says select a channel to meet in, and the Finance General channel pops up. So now I have, like, let's say we want to call this, Finance Check-in or something. And that's fine, everything's fine. Schedule that. Now you see what happens is it schedules, this is what an event looks like in Teams. So it's you can see that I schedule the meeting, so I'm the one who's orchestrating it. Schedule the meeting right there, right? And then finance check-in, and then when it's time to go join that meeting, and this also popped up on my calendar. So Thursday at 11:30. So if I go to my calendar, Thursday at 11:30, here it is. So that just popped in just from what I just did, right? So now it's on my calendar. It's also in the channel, so it's multiple places to kind of keep it easy. And everybody in this team should have gotten an email and an invite for it. If I click that, it brings me to the powder room, or if I click join, it brings me to the powder room, and I can kick off that meeting with people in my team. So that's really the only difference. You can also do that, by the way. The second way to do it is to go to calendar, go to new meeting, go through all the steps we did before, and then you can choose any channel here that you want to have the meeting in. So let's say it's just easier for you for whatever reason to do it this way. You can also search for them. So if I click finance, it'll show finance stuff. So let's do, I can click that one, and now this is being set up in that channel. And that means everybody in the team has access to it and can see it, and anyone that's not in the team has no idea that it was set up. Does that answer the question? No, that's good. There's actually the next section I was going to cover, so that's good. So so it's a slightly different way of managing some. Instead of a separate standalone meeting, now I have the team and all the apps and everything in the team to refer to. Because like this, once people join this meeting, we're all part of the team, which means we all have access to all the different files and all these applications that are pinned and everything else. So once we start this meeting, we can actually use this team as the basis to collaborate on files and all that. So, it doesn't set up a separate bridge, I guess is my point. It just uses this team. So before, when we have a scheduled standalone meeting, we had this bridge here, right, that has everything in it. For a channel meeting, it just uses the team, and all the conversations that happen in the meeting would actually be replies to this initial post, including if I recorded it, the recording button would pop up. I think I probably have an example somewhere I can show you, but basically everything in that meeting, once I started it, any replies to it, any recordings of it, that would all be contained in this and replies to this post. Any questions about channel meetings? It's a good question. Okay, all right. Well, feel free to keep posting any other questions that you have. The channel means a little bit of a different concept, so just know that that's available. And then if you don't want to schedule a meeting, like I already said this, but just, kind of to reiterate it, if I just want to like pop up a quick check-in with the team, I can also do that by clicking this and just hitting meet now. And now this just starts my meeting in my team. And let's say I say like, hey everyone, let's have a quick chat if you can make it. And I don't know if Deborah's in this. Yeah, cool. So Deborah, can you join? Something like that. Let's say I record it real fast. Whoops. Just want to kind of show you what it looks like here. But same, all the same features that you saw on the other team, like no real different features. Recording has started. Let's actually hang up. So that was a quick meeting here. And now you see when I'm back here, that like the meeting started, you'll see replies that happen in the meeting, and then here in a second, you'll see the recording pop up, and that'll also be available in stream. So that's how, it's all kind of contained in that thread, which is pretty cool. Okay, any questions about that?
One question says, so the channel meeting goes to only the channel, or does the whole team get the channel meeting?
The channel meeting is available to the entire team, but it's hosted in the channel. My understanding is it'll pop up on everybody's calendar, but people won't get like an email for it unless you actually go in and add them as an attendee. So if I added Deborah here and I update it now, because I'm basically setting this up, but I'm like especially I want Deborah to make it. Now Deborah should have gotten an email calendar invite saying that I set this up. But by default,
if you really wanted Deborah to get there, you could mention me.
Yep, and I could also mention you. Yep. Yeah, so everyone has access to it in the team, right? Because everyone in the team has access to everything basically in the team. So anybody could join, but only the people that are like included like in that way would actually get an email about it, but it should pop up on everybody's calendar. That's how it should work. Okay, so that's and then the last piece that we're going to cover here is the ad hoc meetings, right? So we did these. Feel free if you have any other questions, let me know. And now let's cover the ad hoc meetings. So this is pretty simple. Typically if you've used Skype for Business before, it's sort of similar to that. So if I go to chat, you can have, I'm a big fan of starting in Teams in chat. So, if you're just kind of getting comfortable with Teams, that the product, I would say starting in chat's a great way just to kind of like start learning about it more. Let's say that I want to, Deborah and I are chatting here. Hey, I have a question, and we post back and forth, and let's say it's just like easier to talk. These two buttons up here allow us to just spin up a quick call. So if I want to spin up a call with the video with Deborah, I could do that. If I want to spin up just an audio call, I could do that too. And you can also do it with multiple people. So like, let's say I want to also add, Bob to this, and I want to also add Nestor to this, let's say. So I'm adding them. It starts a new conversation. Hey everyone, can we have a quick chat about the finance update or whatever? And now all four of us are in this same chat together. Deborah's online, both Bob and Nestor aren't, so good to know. And if I click one of these buttons, it just spins up a meeting with the four of us. It's private, no one else knows it's happening. No one else can join unless we invite them, but it's just a private meeting for the four of us. And that's really nice just for kind of ad hoc stuff. So, one way is through IM that I just showed, and the other way is through channels, right, that I showed previously. So those are really the three main sort of categories of meetings that I think of both in Outlook and Teams. Any questions about anything that we just covered, and then we're just going to close out in a couple of minutes and take any more Q&A that we have. But we're pretty much finished with the content. Any other questions that you have? Okay, so just to kind of close out here, just want to reiterate that you can join any of these meetings from any device. So it can be a desktop client, it can be an iPad, it can be a phone, it can be a browser. However you want to join these Teams meetings, it's really, really seamless and easy to do so. And I'll call out especially if you have the ability, I know not all of you might have this, but if you have the ability to use a mobile app, to download the Teams mobile app, highly recommend that you do it. Basically everything that you can do in Teams is available in the mobile app. It's a really, really nice experience. It's also, if you've used Skype before, it works so much better than Skype. It's easier to join conversations. The calls just sound better. It takes less bandwidth. It's in every way just a better product than Skype was. So anyway, so if you don't have the Teams app, but you have access to it, I highly recommend that you download it. It'll make meetings really easy and a breeze for you while you're mobile. With that, I'll just go ahead and post up the rest of the sessions that we'll be hosting this month. And if you have any remaining questions, we'll hang out for a couple minutes and answer whatever is out there. All right, looks like the questions are kind of fizzling out here. So we'll continue to answer questions in the Q&A tool. For now, I think we'll go ahead and close out the training today. Thank you for joining. We hope you found it helpful. Feel free to post any feedback that you have in the Q&A tool, and we'll take it and make these meetings better, or these trainings better as time goes on. And feel free to join any of the trainings that we have, one of our future sessions. All right, thanks everyone. Have a nice rest of your week and take care.